I think Jesus was a fun and loving person. When I read the scriptures, I read things, I think he was fun. I think he made jokes about stuff. I think he made light of some things. I don't think being serious all the time is what he was like. And sometimes when we picture Jesus, or more so, we might picture a religious leader or a political leader, like they need to be, composed and not laughing or whatever. But I feel like Jesus really um, was different than we can often see him. I think he was a fun loving person, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately when I read about um, when Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus talked about the mote in your brother's eye, like a sawdust in your brother's eye, and you have a beam in your own eye. Like he's comparing sawdust to like a tree in your own eye. Like the comparison is ridiculous. And I think that sometimes we think like, oh yeah, that's serious. I don't think so. I think he was making a point, but I think it was also like I can see when I picture Jesus doing this, he's like talks about and a beam in your own eye, and then kind of like chuckling like at himself, having us chuckle at ourselves that we have these beams in our eyes and we notice um, issues with other people. When Jesus talks about a camel through the eye of the needle, straining at a gnat, swallowing a camel. I think even when he named like the sons of thunder, giving them a nickname, the sons of thunder, or the other nicknames, like I think that he was just a fun-loving person, and I think that the sons of thunder, just something like that, like you guys have some energy, you guys have some power, Sons of Thunder. And I think he came up with that nickname as like a fun loving like nickname for his friends. Some of these others examples with the camels. When I hear Jesus talking about this stuff, I picture him like laughing, like yeah, like a camel through the eye of a needle or whatever. And you're like, it's such ridiculous comparisons. The You can move mountain with the faith of a mustard seed. It's like the tiniest thing, and the mountain is like the biggest thing. Um, but I think he was super approachable, probably the most approachable person ever because everyone approached him. And I know that a lot of that was because they were expecting to be healed, which isn't wrong. I think that's awesome. I think that we should reach out to him because he will heal us. I think that's a huge part of it. I feel like Jesus was so approachable. Like when you read the New Testament, you read about the hundreds and hundreds of people that are reaching out to him, that are following him, that are just like hanging on every word he says, every teaching he says, even when he's not healing them. Like just the words that he is saying really draws people unto him. Children, flocking around him. I think it's just so beautiful to picture that this person is just so loving. He's loving the elderly, the sick, infirm, the kids, loving everybody and everybody of all ages. No matter where you are in society, you want to follow him. You want to approach him. Romans are approaching him, seeking knowledge, seeking healing. I love it. When I think of Jesus, I think of a happy, loving, fun person to be around, stern when he needs to be. But I think for the most part, you don't need to be. There's times for that, but I think we hear about like the table at the temple that Jesus knocked over, and I think the time called for that, and I think the time called for some of the more stern things he did. And even being this fun-loving person, he never wavered on your need to repent, to stop sinning, to follow Jesus. And these are things that we absolutely need to do. But I also think that he wants us to be happy. He wants us to be loving. He wants us to have fun in life. I don't think he wants us just to be stern and miserable. I think he wants us to be like him. And I think how he was a fun-loving, happy person. And I think it's cool. And when I read scriptures, it's changed a lot over the years. Some of the sermons just aren't like, sermons, but like that beam in the eye. I can just see him like lighting up with the twinkle in his eye, like beam in your own eye. And everyone's like, yeah, that's true. And Jesus laughing, and everyone laughs for a minute. And I think that's who Jesus was. That's who I like to picture. Someone who's fun, loving, and ministered to everyone around him.